More Eagle! Welcome to the Auburn Tigers football podcast. Here are your hosts, Brett Mason and Jamie Thomas.
All right, here we go. It's our first ever podcast of the 2015 season. Time for some SEC football. I am Brett Mason. My co-host, Jamie Thomas, again this year. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm ready. I'm ready for some football. It's just been too damn long.
It's been too long, man. I'm stoked. Football season, it's been real January since we've seen either Alabama or Auburn play. I'm ready to see those guys put those helmets back on and start laying the wood.
SEC media days. I watched everything. I read everything. It was like I was just ready for something, man. I was watching every damn thing, reading every damn thing. I'm like, look, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, my nerves and excitement is already built up so much. I try to not tune into the media days. All it does is it gets my blood pressure up even more than what it already is. I do like to tune in and see what old Steve Spurrier has to say every now and then about some of the other teams he has to face. But other than that, I try to avoid media days.
God, he's so funny, isn't he?
He is, man. He really is.
It's funny because I hated him when he was at Florida. I just passionately hated him. I respected him, but I hated him. But now that he's at South Carolina, he just amuses me to no end. He's like the old weird grandpa that you love, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're an Alabama fan, I want to tell you real quick that we also do an Alabama podcast. I am the resident Barner, and so I gush over the Auburn Tigers. My buddy here, Jamie, is the Bammer of the group, and so he gushes over them. If you want to find that, the two pages on Facebook, you can look for the Auburn Tigers on SEF is the name of it, or Alabama Crimson Tide on SEF is what you need to search for those pages. And, of course, we still have the Tigers and Tide page where we post news and podcasts and stuff about both teams. So let's jump right back into it, talking about anything that you have that you want to comment about Auburn. You just jump right in, brother. I mean, I'm maybe overly optimistic about the season, even though we got a new quarterback. For some reason, Jeremy Johnson just feels like he isn't a first-time starter. I mean, he stepped up in a really big game last year, first game of the season, and had to perform. And then he stepped in other key situations, and has always looked like it was his job when he stepped in. So I just feel really comfortable with him. He can run. The guy can. He definitely beats Nick Marshall in passing. So I'm very comfortable with our quarterback situation. And then something I really didn't think was going to happen, we got Duke Williams back, which blew my mind. And I'm pretty keen on our backfield, too. Rock Thomas and Peyton Barber and Javon Robinson. I'm just really optimistic. It's weird because they're not proven as a team, but I just feel really, really good about how they're going to do this year.
Well, Auburn is the kind of football team, they can jump up and surprise you at any time. They've got great coaching staff. They're still not recruiting on the same level as Alabama, Georgia, LSU. So they're still a little ways away as far as talent wise as being 2 and 3 deep at every key position. But their ones are just as good as any other team in the nation. And with that coaching staff, man, they can really be that team that just kind of comes out and they're going to put 40 or 50 points on you every game. So you got to deal with that. I mean, they're a good football team.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the recruiting thing, I think as long as Muschamp's there, recruiting for defense now will not be a problem anymore. I'm still iffy. I love Gus Malzahn, but until he proves that he can send people from his system into the first-round draft pick or whatever, he's just not going to be able to compete with these other teams that are more NFL-style teams. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. He kind of recruits a specialty kind of player, and they play a specialty kind of offense. So, I mean, unless the NFL magically changes over to a spread offense or some weird crap like that,
Well, we see it in Philly, but so far it hasn't been as successful as they wanted it to be.
So we're going to do I'm going to do my best to lay out the case for why I think that Auburn is going to win the SEC championship this year. Try not to laugh too hard over there. But before I get into making my case that you can shoot all kind of holes through, you said you hadn't saw this, so I'm very excited to share this. They just posted this today, the ESPN Power Football Index predicting who they think and their chance of winning the SEC championship this year. Who would you think ESPN is projecting to win the SEC championship?
Well, since you're so excited, I'm going to go with Auburn.
No, brother. No. Auburn is 8th. They have Auburn 8th.
Really?
Ranked 8th.
Now, this is East and West, not just division.
No, this is the overall SEC champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Auburn is 8th. You care to guess where they have Alabama ranked?
4th.
It's basically 4th, tied for 3rd with Tennessee. They have
Arkansas.
No, Arkansas is just above Auburn. They have LSU at number 2, a 14% chance they win. Their number 1 pick to win the SEC this year is Georgia.
Wow. That means Georgia's going to be 8-4.
I mean, on their best years, they can't really put it together. And I mean, they got back some awesome players. Ain't no doubt about that this year. I mean, they've got the killer running back who just embarrassed a bunch of teams last year. So I mean, it's not like they don't have some players. And I'm honestly starting to believe that Mark Richt just doesn't have what it takes to coach a championship team. I'm really starting to believe that.
Well, you know, the guys at ESPN, they like Mark Richt. He's a nice guy. He's a disciplinarian. He takes care of business off the field. But you're right. He's just not he hasn't been able to put it together. He's always had these top recruiting classes, and it always seems like something gets in the way, whether it be suspensions or injuries, or they lose a game to Vanderbilt that they're not supposed to lose, but they go out and play LSU lights out, and I mean it just seems like he can't get it together over there. That is a very strange pick, especially I think they released their regular power index earlier in the year, and they had both Alabama and LSU ahead of Georgia in the regular season index. That's strange.
Well, I tell you, you can never really count LSU out, but I mean, granted, they have a host of issues they got to iron out this year. I mean, their big thing is their quarterback issue. I mean, the guy I assume they're going to go with just got him. I mean, Auburn embarrassed him last year, but he got embarrassed in a lot of other ways. I mean, there's a lot. They got a lot to prove, and to have them picked second at a 14% chance to win. I'll just run them down for you. Georgia has a 25% chance to win. Tennessee and Alabama are tied for 3rd and 4th with a 13% chance to win. I might could justify that based just only on Alabama's schedule alone, which last year I harped all year about Auburn's schedule. This year, man, Alabama has drawn the short straw on the schedules.
Yeah.
And, of course, they have unproven positions as well. So maybe I can see that. But you got Ole Miss, A&M, and Arkansas all ranked ahead of Auburn, and they have Auburn at a 3% chance to win the championship.
Well, I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
Maybe they know something we don't know.
I tell you what. If it plays out that way, this is going to be a humdinger of a season. I mean, I'm gonna hate it, but at least it'll be interesting. We'll have to see how that turns out. Of course, I don't agree with any of that. I've prepared my 5 reasons for why Auburn will undoubtedly win the SEC championship. Prepare to shoot holes through any and all of this as you see fit, sir.
All right, go right ahead. Let's see what we can do.
Number 1 is the thing we just talked about. I think the West, and first of all, I think whoever wins the West wins the championship, just like I've thought. Okay, so we agree on that. And I think the 2 teams to win the West, in my opinion, are, again, Auburn and Alabama. I just think they're the top 2. I don't know who you would rank one above the other, but that's my belief. I don't believe it's LSU, but it could be. So given that, I got to go with schedule, man. I think Auburn draws the best schedule, and Alabama has the gauntlet they got to run. Auburn by far has the easiest schedule. I mean, we only have 3 what you would consider tough road games. One of those at LSU, which is tough. The other one's Arkansas, which I think is very doable, and I think the A&M game is very doable. So then we wound out with three home games. And 2 of those are the toughest of the season. Of course, the Iron Bowl and the one before it, Georgia's. We got to draw home for that. So I think based on schedule alone, if the West is the strongest and Auburn is top tier, in the top tier, whether they're top or not, I mean, I think based on schedule alone, they at least edge out Alabama, I think, who is the other team I think could possibly win that. You got any flaw in my logic there?
I don't think so. I do disagree with you just a little bit on LSU. I think, anytime Les Miles is a head coach, I know he takes a lot of flack for coming across as an idiot sometime. But he's a pretty good ball coach, and he's got a really good backfield. I think the quarterback situation out there has probably been handled. I think you're going to see a big improvement. And, they're physical on the offensive line. They're physical on the defensive line. Can they outscore Auburn? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we see what they do with Alabama every year. Alabama has had one of the best offenses, one of the most dominant offenses in the league over the last couple of years. And the same with Auburn. But LSU always seems to show up and play Bama, and that could be the situation with Auburn this year. That's always been a little bit of a rivalry, but it just seems like the fire in that game hasn't been there the last several years. And maybe that will return this year. If it does, I think you need to be a little bit more worried about LSU than what you're putting on.
Yeah, well, I hope I didn't come across the wrong way, because, dude, I know that Les Miles can beat any team on any day with just about any team he's got, and he ain't bringing junk. I think they have issues. Here's what it boils down to, what I said earlier. I think Auburn has less issues to get through than LSU does.
Yeah, LSU's definitely got further to go to get to the championship. But like I said, it's going to be a good early season matchup.
Well, I know you're going to probably disagree completely with my reason number 2, but it's going to go to this whole quarterback issue. I think the 3 toughest teams that Auburn's going to have to play this year they're in an unproven quarterback situation. Of course, that may not pan out. They may all 3 wind up being phenomenal quarterbacks, but I don't know that. So in my mind, I have to give the edge to the guy who has played a little bit and done well. He hasn't just played; he's done well when he's been called upon. And Jeremy Johnson, I really think he's going to be able to run Gus Malzahn's offense. I mean, he's been running it since 8th grade. Same offense he ran in high school, same offense he's been installing it now for 3 years at Auburn. I just think the guy's really comfortable, and I also think he's pretty talented. I think given that alone, with what you're looking at is the other quote-unquote top-tier teams in the West. And again, I'm completely discounting the East. I just don't think anybody from the East is going to win, so that goes without saying. So again, I'm just giving a slight edge to Auburn. I don't think it's a huge edge, but I think when you combine it with the other small edges I see, I'm hanging my hat on the quarterback thing. I think Coker. I don't know. You can tell me what you think about him. He may be a barn burner this year, but boy, he's got a lot to prove.
I would trade you Jeremy Johnson for Coker any day. If you want to take Coker out, we'll take Johnson. And
it's pretty much a foregone conclusion he's going to be the quarterback, right? I mean, we can't know that for sure. Supposedly they're still in a battle. You got this the David Cornwall. I know some people are high on, and Bateman maybe has a shot over there. But
you got Blake Barnett coming in as well. As a true freshman. Everybody's real high on him. But right now it looks like it's going to be a battle between Coker and Cornwall. And I think you have to understand that Saban likes that experience. And I think it's going to be Jake Coker.
Yeah, and again, he could set it on fire. Because he seems to have, or he has shown some raw talent in the past. I don't think we saw it last year, but if that shows up, he could be awesome. I just got to go based on what I've seen. I'm giving the edge to Auburn, and of course they're my team, and I reserve that right. The number 3 reason I think we're going to win the championship this year is defense. I don't think we're going to have the best defense you've ever seen this year, but I just think it's going to be much improved. And the rule in the past has been if Malzahn could put up 36, 38, 40 points on a team, he would win. I think that expectation is going to be a lot lower this year. I think we'll be looking at, can we put up 30 points on a team, 33, 32? Can we win? I mean, we're actually probably going to have some pass rushing this year, which I'm pretty excited about. Carl Lawson's back, who was just a stud before his injury. And Montravius Adams, who I've liked a little bit, but after hearing during SEC Media Days and some of the things I've seen Muschamp say about him, he's really high on him in a pressure the quarterback situation as well. I think that the defense will be cleaned up enough that the offense won't have to put up 40 points a game to win, and I think that favors Auburn.
How many points per game did Auburn give up last year?
Give up?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember us talking about it, and it was high. It was in the upper 30s,
upper 30s,
38 or something, maybe. Yeah.
And you think that with adding Muschamp, that's an 8 to 10 point swing every game?
Well, I think I don't think a touchdown swing is that outrageous. So low 30s from 38 to 31. I think that at least puts us in the hunt with anybody if we can only have to score 32 to win.
Yeah, I think going back to talent, I still think Auburn is a year away recruiting from being able to make a significant change in that defense. Will they be more disciplined? Will coverage get better? Will the pass rush get better? I think so. But again, that's only going to be with your starters. What happens when those guys get winded? Some of the guys that have to come in that have never really played before. This is their first year in the system. How many players has Auburn kicked off the defense already? I think it's 3, 4, maybe 5 guys that Muschamp has said thanks but no thanks and gotten rid of them. I think it's a depth issue for Auburn. I'm not sure. Not taking anything away from Will Muschamp. He's one of the best defensive minds in all of college football. I still think Auburn's going to have to put up 40 points a game to win to win most games this year. I think they're still going to have a lot of points scored on them. I think Auburn fans that are hoping that this is going to put Auburn back to the Tracy Rocker days, or back in the days when they were stingy on defense. I just think it's not going to happen. There's just too many high scoring teams in football. I mean, look at Alabama. Their defense last year and the year before, they gave up a lot of points, a lot of yards. Look what Ohio State did to them. Look what Auburn did to them in the first half. It's just the game has changed.
No, I'm not going to be a complete Barner on you. I hope I ain't coming across like that. I think I said that when I started. We just definitely not going to have the shutdown defense. It's just not going to be there. Matter of fact, I think the secondary is going to be about the same secondary we've seen the past 2 years. I do think up front is going to be a lot better though, and I think you help, especially in the issues we've had with the passing situation. I think you help them when you affect the quarterback, and so I don't think they'll necessarily be any better. But I think it's got to change a little bit if you can affect the quarterback. And I think we will affect, we had no effect on the quarterback last year in any game. Not in one single game did we have an effect on the quarterback. So, even if they can improve that by 50%, I think all of that added benefit goes to helping those guys defend downfield, and that's where we've needed the help. So, maybe saying we only need to be 30 is a little bit generous. Let's say I think this year we only need 35 to win instead of 40. How about that?
All right. I think one thing you're going to see, too, is Muschamp is a very fiery, a very passionate coach. You get your defense fired up, they're going to make more big plays. I think you're going to see more bigger hits, more interceptions, more turnovers. I think that's where you're going to see the biggest difference on this Auburn defense this year. Is somebody stepping up and making that big stop, or somebody stepping up and intercepting a pass and taking it back for a pick six. I think you're going to see more than that, because that's just the way he coaches. He has that effect on his players. They want to step up, they want to play for him, and they want to make the big plays.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch, and I hope it happens, because after the Roof era and the Ellis Johnson era, I'm just ready for the Muschamp era. I really am. Hey, they can't get any worse. I'm going to tell you that. They just can't get any worse. I'm going to be honest with you. I only really had 3 good reasons, and so my last 2 to round out the top 5 are kind of cheesy, but I'm going to go with them because we're doing 5. Number 4 is what we've already said. The reason we're going to win is because the East sucks. So I think I just automatically discount the East. I could be wrong. Georgia could be on fire. There's a couple other teams in the East that have the potential to light up this year, I think. But I'm just going to discount the East until I see something different out of them. So that's one of my reasons. I think it's completely discounted. And I think if it should come down to an Auburn-Georgia situation, let's be honest, Georgia really embarrassed us last year in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
I literally cried after that game. Hell, I cried during the game. I'm just going to be honest with you. So I think we're going to have revenge on our mind. Will we have the talent and the ability and the fire to make the revenge come to life? I don't know, but I think it'll be a good game. I think it could be as good or better as the Iron Bowl, which has been the case in some games. I mean, that Georgia-Auburn rivalry is stout. It's real stout. Yeah. My fifth reason is really a lame reason. It's just really bad, but it's the only other thing I could come up with. Auburn is in this alternating cycle of having good years and bad years. So last year was a bad year. By default, the superstition means this year we're going to be good. That's all I got for number 5. I think you did a good job. You did your job as the counterpoint. You punched holes in just about everything I said. But since you're a ignorant Bammer, I don't have to listen to you.
All right, well, you're that Homer Auburn fan, so always looking through those orange and blue glasses.
All right, brother, we've got our first podcast under the belt. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. If you're listening, man, the app is still in the App Store. You can still go download that puppy. Just look for Tigers and Tide. It's still called that. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn app. You just look for Tigers and Tide. So we're going to keep the name of the apps and the podcast the same because we just got a lot of people we're bringing in from last year. But if you're new, if you get that app, you'll get both podcasts. You'll get the Auburn and you'll get the Alabama podcast. We're going to try to do at least one a week. Maybe we can pull that off this year.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you on the Alabama podcast, and we'll see you next week.
All right, roll tide, buddy.
War Eagle.
Thanks for listening. Download our free iOS app. Just search for Tigers and Tide in the App Store. And subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search for Tigers and Tide. And for the latest SEC news, log on to southeasternfootball.com.